The second question we received was on Article 27D, and to facilitate that working, it refers to information for requirements in Articles 31 and 32. So the three questions maybe can be taken together. The first one is whether for non-hazardous substances there's anything more than simply the registration number that is required by the recycler, and whether the recycler has to pay for such information, and thirdly, what information the company is compelled to share costs for.
For the non-hazardous substances, in terms of passing on information to your clients, I think the news is very good. It's not even what is marked in the question, not even the registration number needs to be passed on to the client. Of course, if there is an enforcement and an enforcement authority turns up at your plant, you may be required to show the registration number to which you are actually referring to in being exempted from the registration requirement. But I think this is also something that is relatively unlikely to happen, because people will know that you're exempted from registration, and I would be astonished if that in that case there would be enforcement authorities turning up at your plant. If you need such information, that means if you need a safety data sheet, then, as I mentioned, you have to take into account that maybe there are property rights on any other safety data sheet that you might want to use, and I think I mentioned that in my presentation in a bit more detail, so I'm not going to repeat that here. For which information is a company compelled to share costs? The basic rule is the information that you're using. It means if there's a lot of information that is shared within the sieve, it doesn't mean that you have to pay for it. It's only when you're using that information, for example, if you in the end decide to participate in a registration, then you might have to pay part of the registration cost. But also if you happen to see an interesting study and you want to use it for a publication or anything else, then you have to think that in that case you might have to pay part of the costs. Maybe I forgot to mention a bit in more detail what happens if I don't have to provide a safety data sheet. The material is non-hazardous, but there is still some other type of information. For example, if you know that there is a restriction under REACH applying to that material, in that case, of course, you have to provide the registration number along with the information that there is a restriction. Or there is also a catch-all clause. That means if you are aware that even though your material is not classified as hazardous, it cannot be used safely. In that case, you might also have to pass on the relevant information together with the registration number to your client. This is a general obligation. There is no particular format for that. That can also be the case in very specific cases.
Thank you.